Welcome to the Dr. Aaron Show. This is a top spiritual awakening and new thought ancient wisdom podcast to teach you how to become your highest self, unleash your spiritual superpowers, discover your soul's purpose, and manifest your dreams. Hi, I'm Dr. Aaron, Doctor of Divinity, and I'm committed to bringing you the best manifesting and coaching tips, spiritual advice, trauma healing, and metaphysical recovery secrets. I'm here to help you reprogram your subconscious mind, monetize your spiritual gifts, and love your life. I want you to know that I've been exactly where you are, and I believe in you. Together, we're awakening the world. Hi, my divine family, my spiritual family and community and tribe. I want to say that today's podcast is going to be just me and you, sharing my heart and really giving some insight of what I feel like is really going on in the planet energetically and emotionally for all of us right now. So today's podcast is titled, What is Spiritual Warfare? And are you having negative patterns? So right now, this is a common theme that I'm finding for people across the globe. People are reaching out and saying, man, I feel down, I feel stuck, I feel hopeless, I feel fearful, I don't know what to do. I'm also hearing about people being a lot in negative patterns, stuck patterns, confusion, frustration, and maybe even anger. And some people even feeling hopelessness and wanting to give up. So one, I just want to say that I totally, absolutely see you, hear you, and feel you. And I too absolutely feel those same things. The only difference for any of us that are in our spiritual leadership is that we practice principles and we move our emotions maybe faster than the next person that doesn't have the distinctions. So I don't consider myself above anything. And I don't consider myself to have been, a guru and higher mighty and never have those emotions, because I would be lying. But what I do have is I have principles to live by and practices and ways of transforming and transmuting those energetics and having truth that has me able to know the only spiritual warfare is within. And that every battle on this planet and in this lifetime is always an inside job. So today we're going to break on down how to break through your negative patterns and how to really transcend and rise above all spiritual warfare. So let's do this thing, you guys. I'm Dr. Aaron, Doctor of Divinity, teaching metaphysics and spiritual awakening and manifesting and all that cool stuff that we love so much. And man, it's been a journey to this point here today, just feeling into this week, feeling into all the energetics. And I want to give a big energetic shout out to Maui for everything they've been through. I cannot even imagine what everyone's going through in the experience. So I would be so ignorant and naive to think that I could even somewhat relate, because I've never had my home burned down or the children in my community or the fear that's going on of what potentially has caused this over here. And we're not going to get in that today, but I just want to say that if you are feeling stuck in negative patterns, we can absolutely first just think about the relative experience of so many out there. So it is relative. So no matter if you are going through something extreme like that, or maybe you are going through things in your relationship where you're feeling stuck, repeating patterns of arguments and upsets, or whether you are in your career and you can't quite break through walls and you feel like you want to give up. The reality is that it is all relative. It is relative. It is really, really is relative. And, I hear a lot of people out there saying, white privilege things, problems and things, or first world country problems. And it's true, but it's not true because it's relative. So whatever you're going through is intense for you. And I want to see you and know you and feel you with that. And this is not about a spiritual bypass of saying, hey, get positive, but rather it's a podcast for us to dive deep into acknowledging you, seeing you, feeling you, and then having some actual answers to be able to deal with some of the emotions that we're going through. Okay? So Neville Goddard is one of the beautiful leaders in what we consider New Thought and metaphysics. And Louise Hay and Hay House and all the authors that are in this genre with so many other publishers as well. Neville Goddard was a profound teacher that lives in his legacy with all of our consciousness. He was a prominent figure in the New Thought and Law of Attraction movement. And he said this: the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the most powerful force in the universe. And your only obligation is to be true to that feeling. If it feels natural to you to assume your wish is already fulfilled, then this act of assumption is faith, and nothing can stand in your way. So when I read that, it's really the ideal scene, right? Ideal scene is we wake up and we feel amazing. The birds are chirping outside, and we think about the feeling of manifesting our greatest life, or knowing our wish is already fulfilled. And all of a sudden I hear the scratch on the record, and it's like, F you, I'm waking up feeling crappy, low energy. I don't have the funds and resources to do what I need to do. I either am alone or I'm in a relationship that's considered having vicious cycles. I can't break through anything on the internet. I can't break through my business, right? So how in the hell do you get that feeling? Do you create that feeling? Well, we call that spiritual bypassing, and we would never want you to try and get into a physical state and just bypass the feelings, because the feelings and emotions are very important to be able to use, to be able to transform, and actually to birth your soul's purpose and your mission. So I am a spiritual leader that does not believe in bypassing those emotions, does not believe in just being positive, because you can't get positive until you have neutralized the emotions that are coming through. So one, I want to say your emotions are real. They are spirit, your higher self, speaking through the energetics of your soul and through your entire neurological system, saying, wake up. You have a truth and you're not living your truth. And these emotions are here to realign you to live with your truth. And so that may be different for each person. So say it is the Maui Fires, and say you are really upset, whether you are on the island and have been massively impacted, physically by it, or whether you are somebody who's watching it and you're very upset about what potentially caused these fires. The truth is to just sit and energize that does not do anything. So we don't believe in also just being negative and staying in the negativity, but there is something being born out of these emotions, and it is divine action. What is it that is saying, this does not feel right for me? I'm upset, I'm sad, whatever that is. Maybe it is the divine action of grief. Maybe it's the divine action of finding and helping resources to be raised to help the victims of that, right? Or maybe it is, wow, I don't know if I can do anything, so I'm going to actually turn the news off, and I'm going to actually go help my consciousness and heal myself and be able to one day be able to make a difference and things like that, right? Whatever it is for you, it is true for you. Again, there's ultimate truths, which is that we're almighty, all powerful, that we all have the ability to help any situation. But the relative truth is what's true for you and where your consciousness is at right now, okay? So again, we're looking at a lot of things across the board. In Burning Man this week, they got flooded, and it seems like a very trivial thing in comparison to the Maui Fires again. But again, it's relative. We don't know what someone's going through in intent there. We have no idea. And therefore, the moment that we judge is the moment that we cast ourselves out from the Garden of Eden. So what's the point and the goal of this podcast? Is to take divine action, to listen. So my invitation right now is to listen. Where are you feeling stuck and in a negative pattern? And I'd like you can pause this or whatever, and I want you to write it down, because it's very important that you write it down so that you fully acknowledge it, not just some concept in the brain and be like, yeah, that little thing with my relationship, or I just can't seem to break through on Instagram, or, man, I'm just so depressed I can barely get out of bed, but I'm just going to pretend like I don't actually have that problem, right? So it's really important that you actually write down what is the stuck pattern, what is actually upsetting you, and what is it, right? What's that spiritual warfare within? Because we're going to get into that right now, okay? Spiritual warfare is a term that's often used in some religions. It's also a spiritual awakening concept, which is to describe a belief in the struggle or battle within the good and evil forces on a spiritual or metaphysical level. It is a concept found in various religious traditions, including Christianity and all religions for that matter, and the New Age and spiritual awakening, all the belief systems, okay? The exact nature and understanding of spiritual warfare can vary significantly between people's belief systems, right? So this is the reason why I want to bring this up, is because right now you may be feeling like a total stuck pattern. Okay. And traditional religion would say that there is good forces and evil forces. But in New Thought wisdom, we know there is only one creator. There's only one first cause, and that goes to a universal law, and it can create an abundance of love, and it can also create an abundance of division and polarity and fear and hate. Okay. So the concept of spiritual warfare is recognizing and thinking that there's something outside of yourself. Even it may be your own thought, like I have no control over this thought. This emotion is dominating me within me, right? It's a spiritual warfare within. You may also think there's evil forces on the planet that are bad, and that may be true, but they're not separate. Okay, there's only one divinity, and we're one with all of it. This is our karma, all of it, whether you like it or not. This is what we've created, you guys. We've had this game of life on this planet, right? And we have used our energy however we've used our energy. And whether we like it or not, we have the cause and effect. We're having the results that we created, okay? So spiritual warfare, from a metaphysical standpoint in New Thought movement, is recognizing that there's nothing divided, that we have the responsibility for all of it. And we also have the blessings that everything's been created and all the inventions, right? So spiritual warfare is really looking at where's the battle. The battle is always within. So whether you're having negative patterns and you can't stop eating those potato chips, right? Or whether you're having the negative patterns and you just can't stop getting out of that, constant bickering and negative thinking, it's still a spiritual warfare. Right? You can go and you can research all the conspiracy theories in the world, but what does that do unless you're going to actually take responsibility around it and go actually do something about it, right? So in this, in say Christianity or traditional religions, not from mysticism, but from traditional religions, typically spiritual warfare refers to the ongoing struggle between good forces of good, led by God and angels, and forces of evil led by Satan and demons, okay? You either believe in one source or not. You either believe in non-duality or duality. You can't believe in two forces and then believe that there's one God. You can't have one or the other, right? So this is really a metaphorical battle of the souls of the human. And in the soul, we use the one divine soul through the individualized use of the one soul. There's only one life. There's only one soul. There's only one. We're one with everyone. I'm not in the mini me. I've been told that by the programming, but the truth is that's not the truth. I am one with everything, right? So the individualized use is a division in mind. It's where Adam and Eve cast themselves out of the Garden of Eden by judgment, right? So if we want to have heaven within, and we want to go past spiritual warfare, and we want to have peace within, the only way to do that is to see the perfection in everything. So the old me, I used to have crappy days, right? Like we all have crappy days, so like part of being human. And I used to judge myself. The positive movement actually hurt me for quite some time because I would judge myself even more that I wasn't being positive, knowing how we create with high vibrations, if you will. And then I would make myself wrong, and then I would spiral even more. The difference now for me is I can have a bad day, I can begin to spiral, and I can actually just as is it, and I can actually then begin to transform it by really acknowledging it. We have in our, processes of our coaching, we do processes that help really acknowledge the upsets over and over again to be able to just fully acknowledge them, fully be with them, birth the truth out of them, and transform them. Get the power of the back. You know that every time you're upset, there's an actual energetic that can launch you to the next level, right? Athletes do this all the time. They use their opponents. They use their opposition to launch themselves to the next level. And this is the beauty, okay? So right now, if you're frustrated, sad, want to give up, I say, thank you. Thank you for these emotions, because these emotions are what's going to demand me to demand myself to do something different. Okay. The universe has a way of backing us into a corner against a rock, like you got to make a decision, girl. Come on, let's do this thing, and it's going to slam you down as hard as you can until you say, I've had enough and I'm not doing this anymore. Okay. You're either going to succumb and go more and more into sadness and potentially go into depression. And we don't want you doing that. Okay. We want you to begin to use the emotions to be able to launch yourself to the next level. So in new age, new thought, spirituality, we call it that it's a spiritual belief, the spiritual warfare, that it may involve battling negative energies. Some may say entities, but we don't believe in separate entities, or thought forms. That's really the only battle we ever have, is a thought form within ourselves, right? Some practitioners believe in the power of positive thinking, visualization, and energy work to protect themselves from negative spiritual influences and maintain a state of spiritual well-being. We believe in using the mind for good. We believe in transforming any of the negative emotions, which is called the guru. We're transforming the dark into the light. The dark energies transform into light. And this is the constant cycle of our evolution, of our transformation, of our growth, our spiritual growth. And so it's important to note that the interpretations and beliefs are different for each person. But it's important to know that the truth will set you free. And whether it be in spiritual work or whether it be mysticism of Christianity or whatever it may be, that the truth is that the truth sets you free. And so how does that work? Well, the truth meaning oneness. Oneness in the truth of who you are one with everything. You are the power that created the entire universe. And when you truly get this, you know that whether you are either sad or, suffering or a negative place or in a spiritual warfare, that there's something that's working for you in that, because otherwise you wouldn't be one with everything. You wouldn't be the creative factor that can innovate and invent and transform and break through. And in this, there gets to be a place for me where I get to become like I always, even if I'm in a bad space, I know, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is somehow I'm growing in this. I don't know how, I can't see it right now, but I live in faith, right? Faith is trusting in what's not being seen yet. So I have a total faith life. So even when I'm having a hard time, I always know that there's going to be a blessing to come out of this. I always know that there's growth in this. I always know that this is working for my highest good. It has to be, because that's the way life is. That's the way I see it. That's my faith. And so I want to read a little bit from Florence Scovel Shinn, who is another great leader in the New Thought movement. And she's written many books, one of which is one of my favorites, called The Game of Life. And I think it's called The Game of Life. So she has some quotes here I want to read. Most people consider life a battle, but it's not a battle, it's a game, right? So I always think of it like this. Whenever I'm having stuck times, hard times, the warfare of my thoughts within, I look at it like a video game. Like, okay, I'm going to either stay at this level and keep suffering, or I'm going to break through the next level of this video game and I'm going to get to the next level and be able to experience things I've never experienced. So anytime I'm struggling, it's like, okay, this is a fun game to go, wow, what's really going on here, right? And playing and diving into consciousness. She says, whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. I like to change it to she. Whatever a woman soweth, that shall she may also reap. Okay. This means that whatever you send out to the world through your word or deed, it will return to you exponentially. This is absolutely the cause and effect and the boomerang of life, right? So whatever you give, you will always receive. Okay. So one of the lessons in that is whenever I'm down, I know that it's a very selfish thing. So one of the things that really helps me when I'm in a stuck pattern is to go help somebody else, serve somebody else, go shop for somebody else, go see if you can do something to serve, even if it's a client, even whatever it may be. Serving is one of the greatest ways, because what we know is that the more you try and fulfill yourself, like literally, I'm always saying this bitch will never be happy, because whenever I try and always make me happy, I get more and more miserable. The more I serve and give and do for others, the more fulfilled I feel. I get out of myself, my mini me and my ego me, and I start to go into a place of being able to know that there's something beyond me, something highest, right? So she also concurs with Goddard, right? And she says that this means that what you image sooner or later externalizes in your affairs. Okay. So the problem with being in stuck patterns and just staying in stuck patterns is that you're constantly energizing the negative. And how universal law works is that whatever you energize, it creates. It's the creative process of life. This is the advanced law of attraction, manifestation, how we are, the true abundance of the world is that there's only abundance. You can abundantly create exponential amount of money. You can also create abundance of scarcity. It's all the one thing is inverted or in alignment with universal law and spiritual awakening, right? So we have to know that staying in a negative stuck pattern can be problematic because you're now energizing and you're informing your neurological system. You're creating habits of your, all your hormones and all the different things going off in your bloodstream. So you're now creating your pattern and creating what would be considered your character, which is really created as well, your personality. And so we want to know that this is a dangerous place to stay. It's a dangerous place to stay. So my advice to myself, my advice to you, my advice to any of my clients or people I certify is that it's okay to get sad. It's okay to get upset. It's okay to not have a great, day. But if you stay in that energy, you are consciously choosing to create that into your embodiment. So anytime we're feeling that, we don't want to bypass it. We want to use the emotions and transform the emotions, the guru, the dark to the light, taking the coaching processes and acknowledging it, but actually birthing the truth that's coming out of that negative emotion. So if you're alone and you're like, man, I don't have those coaching processes, I'm not in your certification, and I don't know how to do that. One of the things you can do is you can go into your mirror in your bathroom and make sure you do not put meaning on anything, but you can literally vent to your mirror. Okay. Don't put evaluation. Don't put meaning. Don't put any backstory, but just state the facts. I'm upset because I can't get out of this negative pattern. I'm upset because I didn't get much today. I procrastinated all day. I'm upset because I was confused and overwhelmed. I'm upset because my partner was a jerk today. I'm upset because I can't break through the next level of my business, right? Whatever it is, just say what you're upset about without the valuation or what you make the meaning out of it or anything, and vent and vent and vent. Acknowledge, be your best friend. Don't judge yourself. Just fully be there with yourself and acknowledge yourself. Totally get it. I totally understand how frustrated you are. I literally do this with myself. Okay. I'm like crazy person in the mirror sometimes. And I'm like, I am my best friend and I'm going to be here for you. What's going on? Right. So acknowledge, and just fully be with it. Now, what do you think is being birthed out of this? Man, I need to get out of my box. And it's time for me to be a part of that community or sign up for that course or get out of my home and go visit someone, go read that book. I need to stop this. What I'm doing, what's birthing out of this frustration is that I'm not living my truth. So I'm going to take one divine action after I've done this whole process with myself to just begin to say, okay, I'm going to now move my feet and use this energy to do one thing that's going to help me get to the next level. Okay. So in this, I'm just knowing the truth of this frustration within each and every one of us that we all experience at times. Okay. So Florence says there are 3 departments of the mind, which we totally agree with. We teach, which is the subconscious and the conscious and the superconscious, right? I mean, you are not the mini-me. You have this individual consciousness. You have the subconscious mind, which is one with the subjective mind, which is one with universal law, right? You have the cosmic consciousness in you right now. So we also have to know that when you're upset and stuck patterns, it's not always just you. You're tapped in with the collective. You're tapped in with the astrological planets. We just had 7 planets in retrograde. We still do, I think. And the point is that we need to stop thinking it's just our thinking, because it's not just your thinking. Your thinking is one with all people's thinking. Your thinking is the culmination of all your lineage as well, your past lives, if you will, which we don't even believe in past lives. There's only one life. Okay. So in this, just recognizing and saying, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I see you. We love you. We know you are the power that created the entire universe. So if you are dealing with spiritual warfare, the war within, or if you are dealing with stuck patterns, what do? You need to begin to acknowledge them, not resist them, not judge them, not analyze them, but rather know the truth around them and begin to transform them. I invite you to come into our community, to come into, whether it be that you just want to do your deep work, or whether you want to get certified, or whether you want to just come in and grab a book or do whatever. We have lots of free gifts as well. I invite you to take action right now. I invite you to share this with a friend and talk about what's really going on, not evaluating it, not complaining, but rather as-ising it and saying, cool, I totally hear you. I totally feel the frustration. Now, what is the truth out of this? The truth is I'm not living my life. I want to live. I want to fulfill upon my dreams. I want something more for myself. This is divine discontentment of me going, I need more, because I am so much more. And we know that for you. You are divine. And I see that. I know that, as together we say, and so it is. Have a beautiful, blessed day, you guys, and may you live your truth. Thank you for tuning in to the Dr. Erin Show. If you're ready to transform your life, discover your soul's purpose, and manifest your dreams, go to drerin.tv. Join me in my life-changing events, membership, or certification. If you're ready to become a certified coach and get trained in metaphysics of mind, manifestation, and the creative process, subconscious reprogramming, trauma recovery healing, spiritual psychology, universal law, and much more, go to drerin.tv. If you're receiving value from the show, I would love it if you would share it with a friend and give it a 5-star review. Have a beautiful day, and may you live your truth.